So my spiritual reading this morning comes from a book by John O'Donohue called To Bless the Space Between Us. This is a blessing on meeting a stranger with respect and reverence that the unknown between us might flower into discovery and lead us beyond the familiar field, blind with the weed of weariness and the old walls of habit.
The scripture reading today comes from Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 through 12. 2 people are better than one, for they get a better return for their work. For if one flags, the other gives support. But woe to the solitary person who falls and has no one to provide support. And if 2 sleep together, they keep each other warm. How can a person stay warm while alone? One alone is easily overpowered. 2 provide protection for each other, and a rope of 3 strands is not easily broken.
Would you pray with me? Sacred presence. May the distractions and worries and fears of this world melt away for a few moments while we light up those strands connecting us. Seek your presence among us and within us. May the words of my mouth, the meditations of each of our hearts, be filled with your light and your wisdom. Amen. So the wisdom book of Ecclesiastes, the teacher who sought to impart the knowledge that he'd gained just by living life, reminds us of something that we all know. 2 are better than 1. Makes me think that even like way, way back, long before Jesus, people had an independent streak that drove others nuts. And that the teacher had to come forward and say, all right, now remember, you don't have to go it alone. 2 are better than 1. Because when you've got 2, you can support one another. You can keep each other warm. You get more work done. You protect each other. And there's that old understanding that 1 stick is more easily breakable than 2 when you've got them held together. You are stronger when you're with somebody else. So we know all of this. This is not rocket science, right? And we've talked not that long ago about deep friendships and the intimate conversations we can have with folks that we trust and have known to be reliable and have stood with us and cared for us, those really deep, meaningful relationships. We've talked about the importance spiritually, emotionally, psychologically for all of us. But what about the brief connections? What about the quick hello as you walked in this morning? What about the chit-chat in the produce department at the grocery store? What about the person that you had to sit next to at the wedding because that's where your place card went and you have no idea who they are, but now you have to talk to them for the next 2 hours? What about the people, on the river cruise that you were on, that you don't know at all? Do those connections mean anything, as brief or situational as they may be? Yes. And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, that emotionally, spiritually, socially, they're important. They're called weak tie friendships. Weak tie friendships. So why are they important? How do they make you feel when you've had those brief connections with somebody else? Uplifted? It opens you up.
There's something right with the world.
There's something right with the world. Gives you a little bit of hope. Carol.
You learn their stories.
Maybe not talking about the brief one, the brief like, hello. Maybe you get a little bit of a story sitting next to somebody at the wedding. But it's a connection nonetheless, yes. That may lead to that. Jerry?
Acceptable.
Acceptable?
You feel acceptable.
So you feel acceptable. You feel like you belong, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Confidence or confident?
Confidence?
Confidence.
It boosts your confidence?
Full sex.
Hopefully you're giving them some confidence and it's boosting your confidence, Missy.
Well, you feel like a sense of sharing or belonging because if I came in, but man, across the way, and you're back me and we didn't say a word. We just
That's right. That's right. There's something to a wave too, isn't there? With you, it's a lifting of the cane apparently. But you know, I walk, and it doesn't even have to be words. It's like I wave to every car that goes by, and you know there's a difference in the waving because like some people are on their steering wheel, they go, and that's it. And then there are those people who are like, and you're like, oh, they're happy to see me. Look at the wave. Done.
It opens up the opportunity to maybe meet them again, and then just that hello means you've already made a connection.
Sure, so it opens you to the next connection that somewhere down the line, maybe, then you take off from there, right? You've already got that piece.
Sometimes it's just an affirmation of like-minded. So they're in the same situation perhaps, and make a comment, they make a comment or laugh or whatever.
Sure, so maybe you're in the same situation, whether you're sitting at the doctor's office or you're sitting at the same funeral or you're sitting wherever, and it's an affirmation of a shared experience.
Back to the confidence point, it's also identity. You're showing that there is a person there and you're a person.
You're being seen.
Being seen.
Yes.
You're not just.
Because there are a lot of times that people, you might say hi to someone and they're like, no, I don't want to see you. That was COVID, right? I have a mask on. I can't see anybody because I have a mask over my mouth. Don't ask me how that works. So I started thinking about this on our trip to Portugal. So we did 3 days in Madrid, and then we did a 7-day cruise on the Douro River in Portugal, and then we ended with 3 days in Lisbon. We got to Madrid, and you're throwing, at that point it was like 60-ish people together who don't know, maybe more than 1 or 2 other people, maybe 3 other people on that trip. And we started that first evening with a quote-unquote welcome reception. I'm thinking the half a glass of champagne wasn't going to do much to loosen anybody up. But we all got a half a glass of champagne and got to sit there and listen to them talk about, information on the trip for about a half hour. And then we were dismissed. And there was very little, there was maybe a nod as you're trying to make your way down the aisle and a hello or whatever, but there wasn't much connecting going on. Now, a few of us stayed to finish off the extra half glasses of champagne, so we connected a little bit more for a moment. But by and large, as a retreat leader, I left there thinking, boy, we really needed an icebreaker or two to get this group kind of melding. We're going to be together for 2 weeks. So the next day, we all got on the bus, and we did a bus tour of Madrid, but still, it's like, I'm sitting on my seat, I only know the person next to me, I'm going to maybe say hello to the person in front of me, but I'm going to pay really close attention to the guide, and I'm going to listen to my in-ear monitor. We got a half-day trip, tour, and then we were all off for half a free day, and we all just scattered. So no connection, really next to no connection. The second full day, we went to Toledo, which is not Toledo, Ohio. We were made to know very clearly. Toledo, which is this amazing fortress, medieval town, and it's surrounded on three sides by a river and these steep cliffs. And of course, it rained because we had to walk across this really long bridge in the rain and thunder. But again, we're all like focused on what the guide is saying, and we're not listening. We get about to the end of Toledo, and I can't find my wallet. And I'm digging and digging through my backpack, and I can't find my wallet. I got pretty much everything thrown out. I can't find my wallet. People are realizing that I can't find my wallet. I'm like, well, maybe it's back on the bus. And I hold out hope till we get back to the bus, and my wallet is not on the bus. So my wallet was swiped somewhere in Toledo on the second day of our tour. Now, we know that bad news travels even faster than good news. And apparently this holds true even in a group of people who don't know each other at all. Because everybody knew that I'd lost my wallet. And suddenly these little filaments of connection were lighting up. Did you find your wallet yet? Or what are you going to do? Did you lose a lot? Did you, are they helping you? What are you going to do? And so within 2 hours of losing my wallet, I felt more loved and supported and cared for and seen than I had in the last 2 days. But the next morning, I still hadn't. I had canceled everything. I had gotten a personal tour of the Madrid Police Department, which nobody else can say they got. And people were still asking and still expressing their sympathy. And I realized at that point that for the rest of the trip, I would be known as the woman who had her wallet stolen. Because this is how we label people, right? Oh, she's the woman who got her wallet stolen. Oh, she's the woman who never got her luggage. Oh, she's the guy. They're the women whose plane was late. They didn't show up for the first 2 days. That's how we look at people.
But it's a universal thing, right?
It is a this is how I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but wasn't really how I wanted to be known for the rest of the trip. These little connections, these little filaments that actually, as tiny as they were, meant so much, right? So the next day, we're going cross-country from Madrid to Portugal via Salamanca, and we stop and we have a luncheon at a hotel. And they kind of put us in their banquet room, and we get this nice buffet of Portuguese food, and they've got local entertainment signed up. So we've got a guitarist and one of those drum boxes. They have a name, not helping me. What are those boxes that people drum on? A cajon? Okay, I'll go with that. And two dancers who were kind of, almost maybe not real flamenco dancers, but kind of the whole thing going on, right? And we're chit-chatting a little bit more around tables, getting to know each other a little bit more. Where are you from? Have you been on one of these before? Still the small talk, right? And then they start doing a song that we all know. Volare. Remember that? Volare, whoa. Volare, whoa. Yeah, see, those are the only two parts of the song that anybody knew, but we all sang along. And the dancer's getting into it, and she takes a woman at the front of our table who's been really getting into it. She gets her to come up and dance, and then she looks at me, and she signals me to come on up, and I'm like, okay, why not? I can't leave this other poor woman up there on her own. And so I'm up there, we're trying to copy her moves, and we're like, whatever, and she's lifting her dress, and I got my shorts up, and so afterwards, these again, little connections. People come up to me and they're like, oh, I've got a great shot of you, you look so cute. I've got you on video, you should see, you look great. And I'm thinking, please don't post that to Facebook. That night I've got another woman who comes up to us at dinner and she's like, you were so much fun. She's like, are you going to the 60s, 70s, 80s dance tonight? Because I'm coming up and dancing with you. I had seen her all up until that point. So now I am not only the woman who had her wallet stolen, but I am the woman who got up and danced to Volare, right? But these are connections that, it loosened the group. It gelled the group a little bit at a time. And as the week went on, we gelled more and more. And what begins as that dreaded small talk, because I don't know about you, but it's not always my gift, right? Begins as small talk eventually moves into those deeper connections where you hear people's stories. So I want to read that blessing one more time, because it was quick, and I know you barely caught it. And I want you to hear this again and listen for what strikes you, okay? With respect and reverence that the unknown between us might flower into discovery and lead us beyond the familiar field, blind with the weed of weariness and the old walls of habit. What strikes you? What word sticks out? The old walls of habit. What does that mean to you?
Please, you get out of yourself and you move towards a little more adventurousness.
To move out of yourself, to meet that stranger, to maybe move past your stereotypes and your prejudices. I got to tell you that there were some Southern-speaking folk on our trip, and I wasn't quite sure for a while that I had the energy to mingle with the Bible Belt folks. That took me a little while. What else? What struck you about the reading? Anything? Discovery. The reverence, to have the reverence that the unknown might blossom into discovery. It names the sacred, that filament between us, that if we could just recognize the divine in our midst, perhaps what wasn't there before will flower into something bigger. The other piece that struck me was the field of the weed of weariness. The weed of weariness, because I'll tell you, there are some days where I'm too tired, too out of nice to want to put the energy into meeting the stranger and into blessing that weak tie connection. There's a social psychology researcher in Istanbul that discovered that these weak tie friendships, these sort of trite conversations that we have are actually deeply beneficial on an emotional and a societal level for all of us. Research that was published in 2023 said that a regular connection with strangers, even these little minute hellos or waves or raising of sticks or whatever they are, even those minute connections give us a deeper sense of belonging to a larger group, and it strengthens the social tapestry. There is meaning and purpose in these little tiny connections when sometimes maybe we feel like there are none, or we just ignore it, we don't have the energy for it, or they're outside of our comfort zone. But they lift us all up and make us all strong. And as the week went on, we got to know people more deeply. And I had a conversation with one of those darn Southerners. And come to find out as we're talking, she's 52 years old, that I let her rant about a program that we didn't go to the night before. And she was all upset about people not from our group, but other people who were disrespectful and who were talking or who were filming with their flashes on when they weren't supposed to be doing it, how rude and disrespectful it was, and talking about people who judge others and the culture without just accepting them where they are and for who they are and being able to learn and grow and open up. And I came to find out that this 52-year-old woman lost her second husband a year prior, and she'd been trying to figure out what to do with all of that, and she was moving away from her parents, and starting anew and starting fresh, and that her parents had just sent her the tickets to the trip without asking, so that she could accompany them. Turns out it wasn't exactly the mental and physical break she needed, but the stories we find out. The woman we found out who had overcome ovarian cancer, only to find out a couple days before the trip that cancer had returned. And they wanted to start chemo right away, and she said, no, I have a life to live. You can start when I get back. All of that starts with the dreaded small talk. And maybe we don't always have 2 weeks to get to know people. But it's so important to make the effort to light up the room with our little connections wherever we are. And so I offer that to all of us, to remember that those weak-tie friendships, those trite conversations, the dreaded small talk is more important than perhaps we could ever imagine. Amen.